Okay, so welcome everyone. So this is the Simni mentoring program. This is our check-in, probably well past the halfway mark now, and really just an opportunity to see how everyone's tracking. So we've got a couple of questions that we'll just each share around what we've been getting out of our mentoring conversations with each other. So Beck, I think you are happy to go first.
Yeah, sure. So the one of the area of life you choose to focus on, my partner and I, Zoe Brooke, did community and mental health because we work in that field. We have had lots of missed opportunity to catch up. It's been really difficult for us to connect. We do text, but we are both really busy people and we keep forgetting. So, but we do check in, which is really good. It's the genuine check-ins when we can. We are quite mindful that it is halfway through the program and we really need to put our skates on. But it's nice knowing that, you know, we work in the same sector. So we know how hectic our lives can get as well. Again, the learning experience is actually being present and connecting, because that's the one thing we've struggled to do, and how busy, and you know, and new babies and life, everything gets in the way. So we're just trying to establish a regular routine and a Zoom meeting if we can't do face to face, to keep that genuine connection and that mentoringship open.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So one of the things with regards to Zoe as well is there was an opportunity for, you know, we don't need to have just one personal connection. So she and I have scheduled some time to catch up via Zoom this Friday. So, and that's
we're tomorrow, so which is good.
Perfect. Awesome. So she's gonna be surrounded by mentoring conversations this week, which is cool. Awesome. And of course it's school holidays for her, so that's sort of where she's got that extra capacity, which we're capitalizing on. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Beck. Who wants to go next?
Oh, happy to go next.
Thanks, Chris.
For me, it was improving my digital skills. So W&A have got a range of training options available there. So Beck's kind of been supporting me through that. And we've had a Zoom meeting, a couple of phone calls, a few emails. But then I've also been away overseas for 3 weeks in that period of time and had some ongoing health issues. So working through that. Follow up, is about testing my Zoom hosting skills in the next few weeks. So that's going to be a bit of I've got one more in the training to do. So, you know, it's like I need a simple checklist. But anyhow, I mean, I have to confess that I am digitally naive, I think is my new phrase, but we're getting there. And I think the feedback for me is, you know, life can get in the way of our greatest plans. And sometimes, as Beck has said, just staying in touch, keep going, leaning in when we need to. And for me, I think it might be good if we can have a monthly sort of check-in, just even for 30 minutes, so that we can also hear how everyone else is going. Because I think that's a nice part of the whole process in doing that. Yeah. And, you know, just, keep going. That's it. Just keep going. Yeah. Small steps.
One foot in front of the other.
Awesome. Thank you. That's brilliant. Cass, do you want to go next?
Sure. Imelita and I have had a couple of text messages, one official catch up and another mini catch up. She wanted to be mentored into how to network effectively, and I was happy to help. So we had a bit of a meeting, and she told me what she wanted to learn, and I gave her some pointers. She wrote them down. She came to my talk for Red Rose Foundation because she wanted to network and also hear me speak. We haven't had a chance to speak since then. That was that last week?
Last week or the week before?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, because I
really 2 weeks ago.
When I drove out to Gatton, I called you, and I've been home for a week. So and you were going on Friday.
Oh my God!
I've talked to Imelita since, Cass.
Oh, have you? How is she?
And she's busy with life and everything else, but she said she absolutely loved going and listening to you speak. She got very inspired by that. She said that
good.
you have quite a unique story, and the way that you present it, she felt, was really lovely. So I know she was very grateful to go to that. And
Oh, brilliant.
yeah. And she's progressed a little book in the process with some writings around. And this is probably something that Beck and Zoe might be interested in, but it's about supporting families and people who have either lost someone through suicide or those that have had some serious mental health issues. So I was able to have a little look at some of the writings in it, and she's hoping to self-publish with that, which is over and above lots of other things she's doing. But she's a very caring, beautiful soul, as Rima will no doubt attest to. So, yeah. So, yeah, there you
I don't
go.
know how she juggles everything.
So it's nice to hear the cross sections of, some of us interacting with others as well, just checking in and seeing how everyone's going, which I think is a strength of Simni's.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Rima, are you happy to tell us how your process has gone with Marnie?
So Marnie went overseas pretty much after our first meeting. Then when she came back, I went overseas. So that's that's almost like 2 months gone.
2 months, yeah.
So we both had a fabulous time.
Catch up mid-air.
So yeah, we managed to have a phone call yesterday, which was nice. Today's her birthday, so she's not here. But yesterday's session
Marnie's
was
birthday today.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Oh, I better wish her.
So wish her happy birthday. Yeah. So I've only really had one chat to her, and really there was no structure. We just started talking and just chatting and catching up, and basically I just said to her, look, I have a lot of things that I want to do, and I'm trying to do a lot of things. I do a lot of things, a bit like most of us here, and I'm thinking of studying. So then we talked a little bit about that. And we talked about all the different projects I have on the go. And I'm sorry, it's really cold in this room and it's triggering a cough for me. And so one of her suggestions was for me to write down all the ideas to have like what does she call it? A PhD?
That's called Projects Half Done. Yeah, stolen from me, Rima. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm working on my PhD and it's called Projects Half Done.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So she didn't say her name, but she said one of my friends has a book and she calls it her PhD, and it's a yellow book. And
oh, well, that might be someone else, but yeah, similar philosophies though. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and have you? Oh dear.
We only talked about this yesterday, so I think it might help to take it out of my head and put it on paper so that I don't have to keep it in my head, because I think that is draining, and I think it's a constant reminder that I haven't done it. And yeah, there's a lot of competing priorities. I also run a wellness business, which I haven't done much in. And so there was a little bit of like, oh no, a bit of guilt around it. So it was really good to kind of bounce it with her and think about the busyness and the amount that we do and that how hard we are on ourselves. So
such great learnings. And neuroscientifically proven that if you hold stuff in your head, it is like an unkept promise, and your brain relates to it that way. And as women, we then add extra stuff like guilt. So getting it out into somewhere else externally where your brain knows that it's captured somewhere is actually one of the kindest things you can do to your brain. And having that book where the ideas are captured and you can, give your brain the instruction that this is not to be executed now. These are just simply ideas, and they can be picked up at any point in the future, literally sends a trigger of, you know, happy hormones into your brain that can counteract the stress hormone of cortisol that you're generating through the unkept promises. So I can categorically say that scientifically it's a really good practice to get into. You'll see an immediate change
I
in stress.
felt good hearing about it.
Mm.
So that was just yesterday evening, and then I did my evening stuff, went to bed, woke up, went to work, came home, taught a class, and here I am. So there has been
Beautiful.
no space to do it. So maybe over the weekend I might be able to do it, but I have a massive service project with elders that I run here in Sandgate. So that's happening this weekend. And then I'm assisting in a couple of yoga courses over the next couple of weekends. So I'm going to carve out some time, find a nice book, may not be yellow, but pretty, and start writing things down. So I think that that's probably a good start for me. And I do like Chris's idea of the group meeting a bit more regularly, because I think it would have kept me more on track. So even if I wouldn't have been able to attend, if I knew, oh, everyone's meeting. And then I work a lot better with structure. So a little bit more structure for me would have been good. And I think maybe that was something that our mentors were supposed to give, but I'm not sure. And I can't find the rest of the questions.
No, that's okay. So yeah, what would you focus on or like to focus on completing before the end of the program, which I think is your book idea, which is a great idea, and then you've provided the feedback. So well done. All the questions answered. For myself, Cheryl and I met, our very first meeting was face-to-face. So both of us live near each other in the same area. So she invited me to a coffee shop that I had no idea was there. And one of the reasons why we went there is the business owner is a beautiful lady, and she, you know, Cheryl being Cheryl, wants to support women in business. So we met at the cafe on a Sunday afternoon, and had some beautiful food and drink, and supported a business owner, and had this great conversation for about 3 hours, which kind of just vaporized into thin air. Similar to you, Reema, and I'm sure with others, there wasn't necessarily a structure to the conversation as such. We both just shared where we were at in our respective journeys. The alignment that's really awesome for me and Cheryl is, I guess she's someone who runs businesses, has been in business for herself for many years, and I've been an employee and am now transitioning into wanting to start my own business. So getting her advice and some thoughts around that. One of the biggest things that I was grappling with at the time was re-signing my current employment contract, and then also balancing the idea of building business at the same time and what that might look like. So our next catch up was about a month later, and it was a phone call, and again, it was a Sunday afternoon that worked for both of us. I was preparing dinner. I think she was about to have a family meal as well, a family over. So it was a quick, it was probably a 40-minute conversation, and it was really just to check in on where we were at. And she was able to share something that was going on for her in one of her board director roles for a different business. And she was able to sort of share, I guess, the challenges that she had with it, some of the things that she learned out of that experience, and also, I guess, seek advice from a different person, or who has a completely different perspective that's outside of the realm of that business. So I felt really privileged to be able to provide her advice and support in exchange for all the advice and support that she provided me too. So we get to organize another catch up. But yeah, I really love the feedback and the ideas of having that structure of regular catch ups. And certainly when we do the initial onboarding, we can set those dates up in advance and essentially, put them into the calendar, and then people are committed to those times, and we know that we can fall back on them as a way of getting together as a broader mentoring group rather than just relying on our pairings. So that's a really great learning, and that's a really simple thing that we can execute and improve for next time. So awesome.
Can I ask a question? I mean, Fiona, it sounds like you and your mentor were helping each other out. So is that the case for me? Because I wasn't too sure because Marnie, I don't think did she need mentor? Like I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I didn't want to box us in or limit us or have us be in a situation where there was you're the mentor and I'm the mentee scenario. I wanted it to be a lot broader than that because ultimately the definition is one person with more experience or less experience in an area. And if you're talking about organizing life and managing, the expectations of family and business and all the rest of it, absolutely. Marnie's got some suggestions and some experience around that you've definitely benefited from. And likewise, how to run businesses and you've got a whole bunch of skills and strategies that, you might be able to offer in terms of advice to Marnie as a business owner and operator and mother and grandmother and all of that as well. There's things that you do that you're exemplary at in your life that could be of benefit for Marnie. So the answer to your question is yes. In my mind, this goes both ways because I think particularly as women as well, we grow more when we're able to learn as well as teach. So for me, it was definitely both ways in a symbiotic style of relationship, but that's not hard and fast, inside of the conversations. I was hoping that you guys would just kind of figure that out. Whereas I guess for me, I'm, that's kind of an ethos for me, but it's not how a traditional mentor and mentee structured program would be set up. So that's totally fine if you were expecting that structure. Does that answer your question?
So I mean, I feel bad that I kind of, assumed that she was my mentor and I was her mentee because I didn't offer her. Yeah, I think when we first were introduced, she was introduced as my mentor. So I just made that assumption.
Yeah, which is totally fine as well. There's no right or wrong, I guess. And I would feel like the first session I had with Cheryl, there was very much that dynamic. I was really seeking her advice. So the dynamic in that first conversation was mentor-mentee, whereas I was the one seeking the advice. And in the second conversation, she was the one that was really grappling with something and she was seeking some objective advice and some ways of thinking out of that conversation. So the dynamic of that conversation was different. It was the other way around. So I think it has the ability to go either way. And that's something that, again, I think we could probably try to be a bit more explicit at the start that it could go, the dynamic of the relationship and the conversations can be either way.
Rima, I think the great thing with you and Marnie both working in a wellness space is that you have opportunities to be able to even explore working together and being able to support each other in that field too. And SIMNI are hosting a mental health and wellness workshop on the 10th of October at North Lakes. And that's all about supporting frontline workers who are working with a lot of people, around their own mental health and wellness. Beck's one of the speakers, along with Jane and Marnie. I don't know whether you've got capacity to get to that or not, but Marnie would have an interest too, I think, with some of the elders and the work that you're doing at Sandgate and some of those follow-up sessions. So I think with Marnie being away with me for 3 weeks and then coming back and you being away overseas, there's been a lot of stuff in that period of time that hasn't enabled the two of you to be able to have good conversations to sort of progress what you need in particular. And that's the value of all of us listening in here, because we'll have some takeaways from what different people are saying that we'll also follow up. And it gives other people an opportunity, if they don't know us, to sort of be able to tap into us as well. Because you're not limited by just the person that you're buddied up with. You've got the capacity of the whole group, that you can tap into.
Bonus, 4 other mentors.
That's it.
But the whole thing is the people that are being invited, you know, part of it is about being able to support those that are working at the front end and making sure that they know that they're valued and supported and that they can share some coping strategies as well. I know Zoe Brooke with Kairos, she has a lot of intense work there with some of the young people. Kairos is a community college that looks after years 10, 11 and 12, and that cohort have all dropped out of mainstream for all sorts of different reasons. But a lot of those young people have high anxiety, have a lot of depression, and have had a lot of trauma in their life as well. So there's different ways, you know, of doing different things with that. And even just picking up on your yoga bit. I can't get down and do any yoga poses, and I've got to have a hip operation. But I've seen some chair yoga exercises that I probably need to be, you know, trying to do. But I'll get Marnie to send you the details for that workshop.
And I think it's about also, you know, self-care for the frontline workers. So I did work in suicide prevention for 5.5 years, and now I work with seniors. But it's all about, you know, while looking after and supporting our clients or our consumers, it's also about supporting our own mental health, and reaching in and checking in on the people around you as well, and having those good sleep hygiene and coping strategies that we can build on when we work in that space. Hey, Trappy. Yeah.
And I'll get Marnie to also, Rima, send you the link to our Simni YouTube channel. So in the last couple of years, we've actually done some recordings around mental health and wellness and how different people are coping with it. So you can have a little skim of that and see, oh, bless, and see whether there's anything in there that's of interest. Yeah.